Okay. So, for those that don't know me, I am Mr. Moody. I'm the athletic director here at Yorktown Middle School. I'd like to welcome you all here. It's good to see you all, especially in spring term here. It's been a long year, but we're getting there. So, um, once again, I want to reiterate that this meeting will be on YouTube when we are done. I'll probably, hopefully, get it up tomorrow. If not, it'll be around the weekend, hopefully a little before. So, but it will be on YouTube. If you don't want to be on the video, make sure that you are muted. Make sure that your video is off, and you will not be in the video. So, first thing we're going to talk about is concussion protocol. Typically, in the past, we have done impact testing with our sports. Obviously, a big concern with golf would be, if they were to get hit by a ball somehow, or, I mean, they could take a fall as well, but, worry about getting hit with a ball. We do not do impact testing anymore. With injuries, we go through our corporation nurse, Brooke Wagner. She will get in contact with the athletes and the parents and make determinations on when athletes can return. So I really don't have any control over any of that, which I am happy about because I don't have the training for that. She will do all of that and tell me when students are able to come back. So that's kind of how we do those things now. We found that with impact testing, especially the doctors and nurses and stuff would never use our results. So we were kind of wasting our time. So we've stopped doing that. It's gone pretty well this season. I think it's a lot easier, a lot better than what we were doing previously. So that's kind of how we handle that. Next, we'll talk grades. At Yorktown, we obviously expect them to be athletes as well as students, right? And students first. So we do grade checks. With the spring term, I will check grades at the midterm. If a student has two failing grades, two Fs, they are immediately ineligible and they cannot return to eligibility for 2 weeks. And it's a firm 2 weeks. There's no getting things turned in right away and becoming eligible. We don't do those things because we want the students to make sure they care about their grades all the time. And we don't want to put that on the teachers either. So they're ineligible for 2 weeks, and then I will then recheck grades. And if they have passing grades at that point, they will become eligible. Now, when you are ineligible, that means that you can practice with the team, but you cannot travel with the team and you cannot participate in any meets, obviously. So we like them to be with the team still because it gives them some incentive to get their grades back up. But, that's kind of how we handle those things. So midterms, and that should be coming up in a couple weeks. So we'll check those then, and that'll make a determination for eligibility. The next thing that we have, when it comes to playing time, obviously Coach Clark is with them a lot, right? They have practice right after school. He is out there. He knows how they play, and I defer to him completely when it comes to who he puts out there when it comes to lineups and things like that. So that's totally up to him. I back him on those decisions. But if you ever have any questions, we want the students to come and talk to the coach. That's our number one priority. We want the kids to start advocating for themselves. We would like to see that happen. That doesn't mean that if you send me an email or you send Coach Clark an email, we're still going to answer you. It's not like we're going to ignore that. We don't want to talk to any parents, but we do want the kids to start talking for themselves, speaking up for themselves, and finding out reasons why things aren't happening. Coach Clark is going to let them know you are, having issues with driving or putting or whatever it may be, and you need to work on some of these things. And they'll know once they have that conversation. But that's where we like for that to begin. Which leads us into conduct. Obviously, we stress to our athletes when they go out, put their uniforms on, they are representing Yorktown. We take pride in that, and we want them to be exemplary competitors as well as show great sportsmanship. So we really expect that. That's a really big deal to us. We want people to be happy to have Yorktown at their places. We want people to speak well of us. So we really, really think that that's important. I don't think we have a huge issue when it comes to the golf course with fans, but obviously, you guys are role models. So if you are there watching, we always want everybody to be, acting appropriately. So COVID changes doesn't so much affect golf right now. If you haven't been paying attention, we have had an uptick as of late. We are currently in yellow. We were blue last week. So, those things can change over time. Um, right now, there aren't really any restrictions when it comes to fans. Obviously, it's the golf course is outside. There's plenty of room. Assuming people would be spread out, we're not, Augusta National where there's 50 people standing around a tee box. We're not going to experience that. So, having fans there and spectating isn't something that I anticipate limiting at this point, especially. But obviously, that can change. Depending on what the numbers look like, how things progress. We could go to limited attendance, but right now that's not on my radar. So we don't really have much in terms of that. We do expect masks when it comes to events, especially if you are around other people in groups. We would expect the spectators to be wearing masks, things like that. The course probably has their own rules in regards to things like that. So we like everybody to just be safe, do those things properly. Our athletes are expected to wear their masks all the way up until they get to the golf course and they play. So it's good to just keep that example up. Aside from that, we do have tracing procedures in place. Golf is in a weird situation where we have a seating chart on the bus, and they're supposed to sit in the same spot every time. So we have that seating chart made. If somebody were to pop positive, hopefully we're not quarantining an entire team when it comes to that. So we do have procedures in place. We are trying to make sure that they are spread out as much as possible all the time. But obviously, things are not nearly as strict as they were in the winter, and hopefully we continue with that. But right now, it's what I've been saying to everybody is, it is the way it is right now, but it could change next week. It just kind of depends on the numbers from the state and kind of where they trend. Like I said, fan attendance and experience. Golf is a different one in that it's very spread out. I don't see any issues with spectators at the moment. I don't know of any other schools that have spectator limits when it comes to golf. But that's kind of where we are. There's no limit. Obviously, we're not charging ticket prices or anything like that. So we just hope that you'll stay spread out a little bit, which you should because you'll be going and following your student athlete is the assumption. So aside from that, we do have the schedule in the chat here. Let me pull that up here. You want to go ahead and post that again, Coach? It's in the chat. If you pull that up, the schedule, you're going to see we already have a cancellation. Newcastle Middle School, they do not have a golf team this year, and they canceled. We've added a few things. I assume that it's going to stay the way it is. I don't think that schedule is going to change much, aside from weather. Weather is going to be the big one, and we make those determinations as well during the day. I look at the weather. If it's looking dicey, we sometimes like to make a determination to make sure that the kids have rides home and stuff like that. So if we have another team coming to us, we want to try to catch them before they get on a bus. So that is something that we just kind of decide as we go. But that schedule, aside from weather, and as long as the COVID doesn't ramp up more, I don't really see that changing much. It shouldn't. There shouldn't be many things that would change with that one. So I think that that's going to be basically what you're going to have. That said, if you don't follow me on YMS Athletics on Twitter, you should. I post updates anytime practice is canceled. I make that determination and go straight to Twitter to put that up there to communicate with people. If something's canceled, an event or something like that, same thing. YMS Athletics on Twitter is where I go immediately. So obviously we'll try to get it out there with other channels, but if I'm not a huge fan of Twitter, but it's an easy way to communicate with everybody instantly. So
Dustin, can I jump in there real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Just on the schedule. All right. So on the schedule, you'll see it's basically 4 straight weeks. Most of them are home. So our bus rides are only, 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. So hopefully contact tracing won't have to happen with that. But for the away ones, it might. Also on May 3rd, the course currently is double booked. So we might have to change May 3rd to away. But of course, I'll let you know if plenty of time in advance if that happens. All right, that's all, Dustin.
All right. Well, that is what I have. Coach, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you if you have anything that you would like to share.
Oh, yeah.
Good segue. So,
okay,
you're up.
Thanks. All right, I actually have quite a bit, guys. Sorry. Usually I love having in-person ones. I don't love Zoom, as many of you probably don't either by this point. But it's good that we have this on record and stuff. And usually these meetings take about half an hour. So I'll try to go faster, mainly because my Zoom attention span and your Zoom attention span is probably a little bit shorter. I did send like a agenda of things I like to talk about. So I'll talk fast, kind of go through these. You'll see it in the chat if you know how to do that. I did put my number there. I would like, if you feel comfortable, I would like your numbers too, your phone numbers and your kids too, if you're comfortable with that. Do include your name, first, last name. If you have a different last name, include that so I know it too. I've been using email, but I really prefer to text. And unfortunately with text, you're limited in size to how many texts. So oftentimes we have to use the GroupMe app because then I can send it to the whole group at one time. I've used Team Manager and some other ones. GroupMe seems to be the best currently. So if you send me your text, I'll later, not right now, I'll send you back and get us to join the GroupMe. You can always email me, but text I get right away and I'm able to respond that way. So for golf, I want to clarify a lot of stuff because, if you join a school team like basketball, kids usually are used to playing basketball all the way up, where golf, most people, this is their first time playing on a team. All these kids have played individually, which is awesome. But team golf's a little different because just by the nature of it. So I'm going to kind of treat this kind of like this is your first time through this rodeo. The school does cover the costs of the course and of the range during practice. The kids do have a free membership at the Elks during the season. But the Elks has been getting super busy this year more than ever, which is awesome for the course. So they're kind of limited sometimes on when the kids can play. If the kids ever want to play on Fridays or the weekends, I highly recommend it. We'll plan on playing the gold tees most of the time this year. We might adjust that. As is, they don't have to play the gold tees, but especially the front 9 if they want to familiarize themselves with the course, especially with so many home meets. They do need to check into the pro shop. They can call ahead too. Busy times like Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, probably not a great time for the kid to play. Afternoons is usually pretty good on the weekends. We won't practice Fridays. Next Friday we do a picture, so we will have a short one there. But Friday afternoons, 3 o'clock, super busy. 4 o'clock's pretty open. So they can play with each other or just kind of go out and play. Now they don't get to do range balls except during practice on limited range as well. We will have a shirt cost. It's awesome. Mr. Matthews got this thing going for us. We do have shirts that should be in next Thursday. And we decided, Dustin, if this is okay, we will still run it through Yorktown Middle School. The cost, the invoice, all that stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. So the shirts should be $33. Is that correct, Coach Matthews? $33. Okay. And Coach Matthews, Nate's dad, is helping us out again, which is awesome. So I will need a check to YMS for $33. You can give it to me. I'll pass it along. I'll write it in. It can just say YMS on it. I'd put that in the chat. Ryan, I see you put your number there. Could you just text it to me? I'll try to check it. Okay, thanks. Also, Stacy Filkowski, her son Ty wasn't able to play this year. He had baseball and other conflicts, but her son Drew plays on the high school team, and the high school team is doing yard signs. And she asked if we were interested, and I said, I think it sounds great. If anybody wants one, if you want a yard sign for your yard that says something about Yorktown Golf and your kid's name or last name, she has a connection. I think it's Rowdy Embry, but I'm not sure, for $20 for Yorktown Middle School golf signs. So I'll give you more information to come here. I don't know the exact details yet, but that might be an option too if you want. Kids do need their own clubs. They do need their own balls. I don't recommend all kids playing Pro V1s or the best balls. I just don't. If your kid shoots bogey or better, maybe balls make a big difference. But for everyone else, I recommend a mid-range ball or even a hard ball, a ball that doesn't have scuffs, a newer ball. But unless you have really honed your golf game a lot, I don't find a big difference between the best golf ball and the mid-range balls, mid-level balls. So, and I know as a parent how annoying it can be if the kid's losing balls left and right. So don't think you have to go out and get the best golf balls. The kid will need tees and probably need some golf shoes, though some people like me just like to wear tennis shoes out playing. With golf bags, we'll talk more about that. I'll talk with your kids about that. We're not ready for any decisions there. They will need, along with the team shirt, it's a gray shirt with a green Y. We will for matches wear either black pants, black shorts, or black skirts. We always want to dress warmer than you think. So black pair of khakis or black pair of khaki shorts, those kind of things, not black jogger sweatpants. That's what we'll wear for matches. For practice, need to dress nice, need to wear shirts that would look nice at the Elks. And I know not everybody follows the dress code there, but we're going to follow the dress code there. The club pro there is big on it, and he doesn't always enforce it, but I want to enforce it with our team. So we want to wear pretty much solid color shirts, pants. It can have the Under Armour logo, but we don't want like huge, a lot of writing, that kind of thing for practice. So kids can wear it to school or they can change after school. Dressing nice for practice. Practice will usually end around 5:30, by 5:30, not later than 5:30. Usually Coach Matthews or I will have different groups doing different things before that. And most of the time we'll be done with those by about 4:45, but that doesn't mean we're going to leave at 4:45. As a parent, as long as you're there by 5:30 to get your kid does, even if the kid's done at 5:10, they can still chip and putt and go to the range or go play a hole or two. So it's not like a kid should just be sitting there doing nothing after that. And I know some of these kids are doing other things. Sometimes you have big projects and busy things like that. I get that. Practice are mandatory. We do want kids to practice, but once in a while, when things come up, of course, with these practices, we'll be flexible with that stuff. It can't be, every week, every Tuesday, that kind of thing. But if you got those kind of things, let me know. Give me some warning, send me some ahead of time stuff. But yeah, usually at the end of practice, it's pretty informal, working on your game, that kind of thing. Once we get rolling with the season, it's like every Monday and then either Wednesday or Thursday. When we get pretty packed in there, yeah, we'll start ending practice earlier. But especially next week, we'll want to get out and play quite a few holes. And so when you get out and play, we have to find those gaps, and it might not be till 5:30 or so. I am hoping that most parents are okay with their kids staying longer, kids that want to keep playing, which is great. Like today, I know there were a couple kids that were like, oh, can we go play a couple holes? Well, if I can get parent permission, I'm fine with that. But I'm going to be leaving every day right around 5:30. So that's something you could do right now too. If you want to, in that text that you just sent me, I haven't checked them yet, but just say, hey, my kid has permission to stay longer than a coach. Or if you really don't want your kid to stay longer than me, which my 6th grade girl probably would be like, say, hey, please don't leave my kid at the course type thing. But yeah, that'd be another good thing to just shoot me a text about or email me about. Oh, on the weekends, we won't have any practices. And I know sometimes you have different things come up on the weekends where you're traveling, but if you're home, I really expect the kids to go out and play at least 9 holes or 18 or more. I'm hoping your kid just really falls in love with this game of golf and gets out there and just wants to play. So um, I get it if you have a travel baseball tournament and trying to squeeze that in or something, but for the most part, we want kids out there playing. We want them falling in love with this game and not always having to play for a score, just going out, hitting some balls. Um, because if you don't play for a few days, you can really tell. I'm really hoping every kid shows a lot of improvement by now until the end of the season. We don't want to burn out, but at the same time, playing that steady amount makes a world of difference, especially in the chipping game. The next thing, I don't want kids to focus too much on scores. I don't want parents to focus too much on scores or comparisons. Kids really fall into that trap in middle school. They really do. Middle school and high school, it's the worst. The kid sees another kid hit a 9 iron 150 yards and they want to hit their 9 iron 150 yards. I talk to them all the time. Don't compare. Play your game. Don't just we're trying to get better. But I'm more concerned about having great attitudes, great character. I don't want to be the coach where the kids thinking is always critical of them. I want kids to play better in front of me. And as parents, you probably want that too. You know, we don't want to add the pressure to the kid. The kid already feels enough pressure. So let's really try to focus on that. I wrote down on that agenda that I sent out after a round or after a practice. I really hope as parents and as adults, you know, we don't just start with what did you shoot? You know, like a number, like we're gonna pigeonhole them in that, or did you win? That kind of attitude, but more, hey, how'd you do? Did you have fun? What went well? What'd you work on today? Is there a funny anecdote that happened at practice or in the match? You know, focus more on those kind of things. Scores will come, but let's not make that our main focus. With that said, I'm really excited about this team. I think this team's got a world of potential, and I really do want to win every match, and I do want to win conference and do all those things. But more important to me is that we're representing Yorktown well and representing our families well, representing our last names, um, doing all those things right on the course, in the classroom. Um, so that kind of leads into the next thing with etiquette. Um, if I can't trust a player to represent Yorktown well, then they're not going to wear that Yorktown shirt. They're not going to play in the match. Matches are nice. Usually it's mainly based on score, but if you're not going to represent our school well, if people are going to walk away thinking, man, that kid's, then I don't want that kid representing Yorktown yet. They can learn and practice how to represent us better. But that's super important to me. And I talked to your kids about this yesterday. I want every kid to be the kid that the other kids want to play with. You want to be that one. You want to be the kid that when other kids play with you, because usually you play with another Yorktown guy. Usually we play matches with 2 Yorktown with 2 Delta, and you play as a foursome. You want to be the kid that the other kids want to play with. You want to be that Yorktown kid if you're, you know, the number 5 player and that you play with the number 6 player, and you're rooting to be with, oh, I want to play with Nate, or I want to play with Connor, because they're that kind of kid, that kind of encourager. With that cheating, that's the one thing I'm going to come down hard with. Not on if your kid scores poorly, because that kind of thing happens, and I don't get on a kid or get frustrated with a kid for shooting poorly. If they make really bad decisions, maybe a little bit, but I will really get on for cheating. Kids got to be able to count their score. They just have to. They have to be able to play with integrity. And I'll have a cheating policy paper that I go over with the kids. I understand sometimes kids don't know all the nuances of the rules. I don't know all the nuances of every rule. I keep a rule book with me. Golf is a complicated game, but I do know how to count to 4 or 5 or 6. And your kids got to be able to do that well, and got to know what they do. And I know sometimes when numbers get big, it can get hard, but I will come down hard on cheating, harder than anything. And I have had to kick kids off the team, suspend kids in the past for cheating. I've coached golf a lot of years. I coached Mississinewa for a while, Pendleton for a while, Yorktown for a while. So I've been around this block, and it's never worth a kid. It's just not worth it. Not worth going there. So then with that, for matches, I do encourage you guys to come out, parents to come out. Not too many, probably the first one or two, especially because the kid's already going to feel a little nervous, especially if it's one of their first matches. You know, don't invite 20 people to come and follow the first time. What you can do is you can follow behind the group, not too far behind where you're blocking the other group, but you can follow behind. You got to be completely passive. You can't talk to the kid at all. Besides, you can kind of yell out, "Hey, nice shot," something like that. "Great putt, good leg putt." Stuff like that's okay to yell out, but you're not close to the kid. You're keeping your distance. Now, the one exception to that would be if there's like a lost ball, like if the ball goes in an area far away and you know, it's in the woods here. Yeah, it's okay if you go and kind of help them look for it for a few minutes. No problem with that at all. But the kid can't ride the cart with you, that you can't give them a ride to the next hole, can't do any of that stuff. And I know some teams won't abide by this, but we're going to abide by this rule. We don't care what the other teams do. We are not going to be giving our kids advice. We're not going to be doing that. If that happens, I've got a, you know, not much warning for that, not much grace for that. We just got to know we're staying back, and we're not going to get upset with other parents that are giving their kids advice or this or that. We're not, let's just not worry about them. Let's just be there for our kid, encourage them, support them when they finish, you know, put your arm around them. Even if they shot terrible, not just jumping right into advice mode. "Oh, you should have done this. You should have done that." More of, "Hey, I still love you. I love watching you play. You bring me joy." You know, bringing out the positive that you can as parents. And the analogy that I wrote down that I really like, I heard one time, used in a different context, is imagine, you know, these kids were all babies. I was one. I had my own little babies. When they first learned to walk, this baby starts walking, and this little toddler, and they start bumping into everything, and they're falling down all over the place. You don't get mad at them. You don't yell at them. You don't get frustrated with them. You just kind of giggle, just kind of laugh, and just kind of play it off. I kind of like that analogy for golf because, you know, the kid's not going to play their best in a match. They're not going to play their best when they're being watched. There's no reason to get upset with them about that. So try to just encourage and root on. And one thing that kind of goes along with that I heard recently that is kind of fascinating to me and kind of making me rethink things. That the fastest growing sport right now among, I think it's like a 16 to 20-year-olds is, well, I think a little younger than that even, is lacrosse. And they dug deeper into the data. And the reason lacrosse is growing so fast is what kids say is because the parents don't know the rules and don't understand the game. And that kind of made me step back a little bit and be like, what are we doing as parents sometimes where the kids just don't want that critical voice all the time. So I'm not telling your kid to stop playing golf and play lacrosse. I'm just saying, let's try to be parents that can encourage your kid to keep going in this game, because this is an awesome game. Okay, so riding the bus, we will ride the bus to away matches there. Optional to ride back, just get signed out from me. Not every kid will play every match. Home matches, we'll try to get everybody out. Away matches, we'll check with the other teams. And we'll have to be flexible with this. We might plan to play 5 varsity, and we talk to the other team, and then we decide to play 6 varsity or something like that. So do give us some grace with stuff like that. We'll try to communicate well, but do give grace with that kind of thing. In the past, we have always had a meal schedule where we've had different parents bring meals before games, which I thought has been awesome for both home and away matches. So 2, 4, 6, 8 for 9 of them. Are we interested in doing something like that again? So like one parent goes and gets the whole team Subway or something like that.
You'll want to make sure that they're prepackaged. So definitely
yeah.
have to be separated.
Good point.
Yeah, you'll want to do that. But aside from that, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Nate has a nut allergy. I don't know if I'd be really interested in tree nut, peanut.
Yeah. Okay.
Max be okay? I mean, maybe not a whole meal, but I mean, I just get really concerned about what he has.
Sure.
Just
Sure.
his
Well,
allergy.
we definitely matches can be long. You know,
Okay.
they don't start till 4:30 or 5, and
Right,
then
right.
8 or even later. So we definitely want to do some kind of meal for those.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe have him pack something, or you can bring something to him
Mhm.
before they leave, and
Yeah.
he
Okay.
can have that because it would be a long night if he didn't have anything.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And same
Since
thing
I'm
with,
since I'm talking, can I ask another question?
yeah, sure.
Mm, So they will be on the bus and there's no option to drive him instead of taking the bus to these matches out of town?
That's something we'd have to talk about, just more of a COVID thing. If it wasn't the COVID thing, then I would say
Mhm.
no, we ride together, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, we'd have to have that'd be a conversation to have. We like
Okay.
we like all the kids to ride together because then Coach Clark knows they're going to be there when they're there. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
a lot of times when you get into situations, I'll use Burris as an example. There are times when Burris has athletes that don't show up on time for games,
Mhm.
and it's happened at some of the ones that we've hosted. So
Mhm.
that's where it gets kind of dicey.
Well, this one makes sure he's there all the time on time. So.
So,
well, in away matches, we try to start right away, right?
Mhm.
The minute we get there. So there's no downtime because we got it to be dark and we want to get back in a decent
Right.
hour. So yeah, we could have that conversation separate.
Okay.
Sure. So we do have one Saturday. We have conference, and that'll be 5 players. Not sure what 5 players. Obviously, that'll be until we get into that week, and that'll be a long day. So plan on the May 8th. Usually, it starts at 1 p.m. That's why I said 1 p.m. and it'll last. So plan on that an all day that Saturday. And for those people that play that Saturday, we'll try to practice that Friday and hopefully go to Delaware Country Club, where it's located. Oh, and on the schedule, it doesn't have the golf courses. It has the school. We obviously play at the golf courses, so I'll get those out to you too. The weather in Indiana, obviously crazy in spring. We'll try to have practices most days. We'll sometimes have to play it by ear. Tomorrow, for instance, it looks like it's going to get nasty. We do have a rules meeting, which is super fun, for probably the first hour tomorrow, and then we'll see weather-wise after that. So I'll make sure we contact you guys. And right now, plan being at the course at 5:30, between 5:30 like usual, but we'll see from there. And if we do just stay at the middle school or something like that, don't worry about getting the clubs. Um, a lot of people are still bringing their kids clubs, which is okay, but I think it's fine just to leave your clubs there at the Elks. Um, they do have a spot for clubs that you can pick up at any time. Oh, and one other thing, just safety. The last thing I had on there, safety, lightning safety, obviously. Avoiding being hit by balls. We'll work on all that stuff. There's always some risk of injury, and Mr. Moody went over that, but just wanted to make sure I touched on that too. All right. Does anyone have any questions? All right. So like I said, over in the chat, if you could please text me if you're comfortable with that, include your name with that, and I'll try to send out the GroupMe link so that we have that too, so I can send mass text to that. If kids have cell phones too, I'd like that to be texted to me. Not all kids, I know my kid doesn't have a cell phone. Oh, and they're not allowed to have cell phone on during practice, but they can like during a match, they can't have it on at all. During practice, if they're texting between holes, like they have 2 holes left and stuff like that, I don't have a problem with that. But that would be just something to be aware of during their practice. It's not like they have their cell phone in their pocket on them all the time. Oh, and rangefinders are okay. They just can't have a slope feature, but kids can always use any kind of range, any kind of distance device that they want. Anything else? Coach Matthews, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I think you covered it. The matches take a while.
Yep.
Make sure they have plenty of drinks and things like that. Sunscreen.
yeah, the drinks are a big one. That's a good one to bring up. A lot of the public access to like fountains doesn't really exist some places, so always err on the safe side for sure.
And just it could be cold and wet and windy, so make sure you have layers of clothes.
Coach Clark.
Yeah.
With the drinks, I know when my son played, we donated, like, everyone would donate either a case of water or a case of small Gatorades. And then the coaches had a cooler that they filled up every match. And as they were making their rounds, if anybody needed drinks, they had them. Is that something that you would be open to?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If we want to do that, even with, I know that'll happen a lot of times in the past when we've had parents bring meals, they also bring enough, 2 drinks usually, one for the kid to drink then and one for them to drink later. I think that would be a good, do you think, Jeannie, do you think that would kind of fit along with that? If you're bringing the meal, you also bring extra drinks?
I think that would be fine. I think if we end up not doing meals, we definitely need to at least do drinks for them.
Okay.
If you want, I can go ahead and organize that.
Yeah, I still think it'd be a good idea if we have enough interest, and I know Nate would probably be out, but if the rest of the kids wanted to do a meal, just, I don't, as a parent, I think that might be easier. I would think that would be easier, just so I wouldn't have to bring a meal every single time.
Sure.
But that would kind of be up to if we had enough interest from other people, and I hate excluding people, but okay. Okay, that's something, Jeannie, I'll touch base with you later on that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. So this will be up on YouTube, hopefully tomorrow. If not, definitely before or around the weekend. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to email myself or Coach Clark. We will get back with you. And appreciate all of you being here. And we'll see you on the courses.
All right. Thanks, guys.